I spent 10 years deep in the mountains shooting the breeze with animals, until a barrage of life or death calls from my mother dragged me back to the city. Stop living like a caveman in the mountains and get your ass to work at the animal hospital. On my first day, the emergency room received a husky foaming at the mouth. A coworker handed me a high-end stethoscope. I didn't take it. Instead, I pulled a military megaphone out of my bag. Buddy, where exactly does it hurt? The entire room went dead silent. The nurse's hand was already reaching for the panic button. But that idiot husky actually answered me. My name is Lin Bei. I spent a full 10 years in the forests of the Changbai Mountains. I fought wolf packs over territory, traded insults with brown bears, and listened to chickadees gossip about their love lives. My master said I was a once-in-a-century genius at animal speech. I believed him. Until my mother called. Lin Bei, you listen to me. Her voice blasted through nearly 2,000 miles of wilderness and startled awake the squirrel napping beside me. You're 28. 28. Your old classmates' kids are already old enough to run errands. And you're still hiding in the mountains chatting with wild boars? Mom, it wasn't a wild boar. It was a brown bear. I don't care who you're talking to. Get home within 3 days. I pulled some strings and found you a job at an animal hospital. A real job. Do you hear me? Mom, the signal out here is kind of. If you don't come back, I'll hike up there and tie you up myself. I'll have your father bring an excavator and flatten that lousy mountain. I believed she would do it. 3 days later, I stood outside Manhwa Animal Hospital with a woven plastic sack slung over my shoulder. It held everything I owned. 3 camouflage outfits, a pair of old liberation shoes, an aluminum lunchbox, and a military megaphone. My reflection stared back at me from the glass doors. My long hair was tied in a ponytail. My face was dark from years of mountain wind, and there was probably still dried blood under my nails from helping a she-wolf give birth the day before. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The young woman at the front desk looked up at me once, then again. Then she quietly reached under the desk. Don't, I said quickly, raising both hands. I'm not here for treatment. I'm here to work. Her hand froze halfway down. Her expression clearly said, Are you sure? My name is Lin Bei. Today's my first day. She looked down at the employee list, then back at my face. Her eyes went between the 2-3 times. Lin Bei? The one Andy Zhao referred? Yeah, that's my mom. Oh. The suspicion in her voice turned into pity. The kind of pity that said, Your mother plays mahjong with our director. So you got in through the back door. And there's nothing I can do about it. Come with me. The director's in his office. The director's office was on the 2nd floor. The second I opened the door, the smell of tea leaves and goji berries hit me. Director Qian Guangjin sat behind a rosewood desk. His bald head gleamed under the lights, and his stomach was so round he looked 6 months pregnant. When he saw me, his smile visibly stiffened. You're Sister Zhao's son? Yes. Lin Bei. You spent 10 years in the mountains, studying veterinary medicine. I didn't mention animal speech. My mother had warned me not to go around telling people the truth. Oh. Qian Guangjin's gaze traveled from my ponytail to my liberation shoes. The corner of his mouth twitched. Do you have a license? No. A degree? No. Any relevant professional experience? I've delivered wolf pups, treated a golden eagle's broken wing, and removed a thorn from a brown bear's paw. That's enough. Qian Guangjin waved me off, his smile finally collapsing. Start as an assistant. Follow Dr. Fang. Talk less. Watch more. And don't cause trouble. Dr. Fang. Fang Mingyuan. When Qian Guangjin brought me to the 1st floor examination room, I spotted Dr. Fang immediately. His white coat was spotless. He wore gold-rimmed glasses. His hair was combed perfectly into place, and a small Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons pin was fastened to his collar. He was holding a tablet and explaining a CT scan to a middle-aged couple. When he saw us come in, he pushed his glasses up his nose. I knew that look. Owls in the mountains looked at field mice the same way. This is the new hire? Yes. Lin Bei. Sister Zhao's son. Let him learn from you. Fang Mingyuan looked me up and down for 5 full seconds. Ever worn a white coat? No. Ever used a stethoscope? No. Do you know the normal body temperature range for a dog? Alive or dead? The corner of Fang Mingyuan's mouth twitched twice. Just stand over there for now. Don't touch anything. I shrugged and leaned against the corner. That was how I spent the whole morning. Honestly, it was pretty boring. The way Fang Mingyuan diagnosed animals looked like guessing games to me. Someone brought in a toy poodle that had stopped eating. Fang Mingyuan took its temperature, listened to its heart and lungs, checked its mouth, drew blood, and performed an ultrasound. When the results came back, everything was normal. He frowned and analyzed the numbers for ages before finally prescribing a nutritional paste. Watching from the side, I was practically dying of frustration. From the moment the poodle entered the room, it had kept its butt pointed at its owner. Its tail drooped, and every now and then it let out an offended little whine. In animal speech, the message was as obvious as if it had been broadcast through a megaphone. I haven't lost my appetite. I'm mad at you. Yesterday, you petted another dog, then used that same hand to give me my food bowl. Do you think my nose is just decoration? But I said nothing. I remembered Qian Guangjin's warning. Don't cause trouble. Then 2:30 in the afternoon came. An emergency arrived. A heavy-set middle-aged man stumbled through the doors, clutching a husky in his arms. The dog's limbs were convulsing. Foam bubbled at the corners of its mouth, and it let out shrill, miserable howls. Quick! Save my Ergu. He suddenly started doing this. He was rolling all over the floor at home. Su Xiaoyu, the nurse at the front desk, immediately hit the emergency bell. Fang Mingyuan put down his coffee and rushed over, put him on the exam table. The instant the husky was set down, all four legs began kicking like they had motors attached. 3 people couldn't hold him still. His howls were deafening, and every other animal in the room bristled in alarm. Fang Mingyuan put on gloves and tried to approach. The husky bared all its teeth at him. Prepare a sedative. Su Xiaoyu handed him a syringe. Fang Mingyuan's hand was steady. He waited for an opening and injected the dog, but the husky acted as if he hadn't felt a thing and kept thrashing wildly. No effect? Increase the dose. A second injection went in. Still nothing. Now Fang Mingyuan's brow twisted into a knot. Heart rate 180. Temperature 40.2 Celsius. Pupils normal. What is going on? He pressed a stethoscope to the husky's chest. The dog clamped his jaws around the tubing and flung drool all over Fang Mingyuan's face. The heavy-set owner stamped his feet in panic. Dr. Fang, what's wrong with my Ergu? Fang Mingyuan wiped his face. My preliminary assessment is a possible neurological issue. He needs an MRI. How long will that take? We need an appointment. Tomorrow at the earliest. Tomorrow? Look at him. Will he even survive until tomorrow? Everyone scrambled around in chaos. Su Xiaoyu searched for a higher dose of sedative. Fang Mingyuan called a larger animal hospital. The owner had already started crying. The husky's howls grew more agonized by the second. I understood him. I had understood him from the moment he came through the door. He had been screaming the same thing over and over. It hurts. It hurts so bad. My stomach. There's something in my stomach. Something sharp. It's stabbing me. You idiots. Help me already. I stood in the corner for 30 seconds. I took a deep breath. I remembered Qian Guangjin saying, "Don't cause trouble." Then I looked at the husky on the table, nearly rolling his eyes back from pain. Forget it. Trouble it was. I unzipped my woven sack and pulled out my military megaphone. I used it in the mountains. It could carry a voice for almost 2 miles. Even bears on the other side of a mountain could hear it. I walked toward the exam table. Su Xiaoyu saw me first. Her eyes went wide. What are you doing? I ignored her. I stopped beside the exam table, aimed the megaphone at the violently convulsing husky, took a deep breath, and spoke in animal language. To human ears, it was a string of strange noises somewhere between a wolf's howl and a dog's bark, mixed with guttural sounds and breathy clicks. Translated into human language, I said, buddy, listen to me. Calm down. Where exactly does it hurt? Point it out. The whole room fell silent, dead silent. Fang Mingyuan froze with his phone suspended in midair. Su Xiaoyu's mouth formed a perfect O. The heavy-set man even forgot to cry. The nurses peeking in from the next examination room looked as if someone had hit pause. Every face carried the exact same thought. This guy is insane. Completely insane. Su Xiaoyu's hand had already moved toward the phone in her pocket. From the corner of my eye, I saw her fingers trembling as she unlocked the screen. But I had no time to worry about her, because the husky on the table stopped. He didn't slowly calm down. He stopped with a snap, as if someone had unplugged him. Every struggle ceased instantly. He raised his head and stared straight at me with 2 blue eyes. His mouth opened, and he gave a short whine. Then, under everyone's horrified gaze, the husky who had just been foaming at the mouth and convulsing wildly slowly lifted his right front paw. He pointed directly at his stomach. The air in the room seemed to solidify. Su Xiaoyu's phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a smack. She didn't even react. Fang Mingyuan's lips moved twice, but no sound came out. I nodded and spoke in animal language again. Something sharp? What did you swallow? The husky whined again and scratched at his belly twice. I lowered the megaphone and turned to the stunned Fang Mingyuan. There's a foreign object in his stomach. Something sharp. Get an X-ray now. It's probably a bone fragment or some kind of metal piece. Fang Mingyuan didn't move. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3. Dr. Fang? Su Xiaoyu called softly. Fang Mingyuan finally snapped back as if he had been shocked. Take an X-ray. 10 minutes later, the X-ray was ready. Fang Mingyuan's hands were trembling when he clipped it to the light box. In the husky's stomach, the image clearly showed an irregular bright white object. It looked like a screw? Su Xiaoyu leaned closer, her voice going shrill. The heavy-set man slapped his thigh. Holy crap! I dropped a screw while putting together a cabinet a couple days ago and couldn't find it anywhere. Ergu, you swallowed it. The husky gave a weak bark from the table. I understood him perfectly. Serves you right for losing it. That's what you get for not adding a chicken leg to my dinner. I didn't translate that part. Some things were better left unsaid. Fang Mingyuan stared at the X-ray for a long time. Then he turned toward me. Behind his glasses, his eyes held shock, confusion, and disbelief, and the faintest trace of resentment. How did you do that just now? I shoved the megaphone back into my bag. Experience. The husky's surgery was successful that evening. They removed a self-tapping screw 3 centimeters long. Another half a day, and it might have punctured his stomach wall. The heavy-set owner held the unconscious husky and sobbed his eyes out. He insisted on dropping to his knees to thank me. I grabbed his arms before he could. Sir, seriously, there's no need. Just keep your screws put away when you get home. He thanked me over and over before leaving. The examination room quieted down. While Su Xiaoyu cleaned the equipment, she kept sneaking glances at me. She looked at me like I was some kind of monster. Fang Mingyuan hung up his white coat. When he passed me, he stopped for a moment. I don't know what kind of unorthodox trick you used. He pushed up his glasses and lowered his voice. But clinical diagnosis requires scientific evidence, not a sideshow. Then he left. I stood there for a moment and shrugged. How was I supposed to explain it? If I told them the truth, they would have me committed. My phone rang while I was changing in the staff locker room. My mother. How was your first day? Pretty good. I saved a dog. Good. Don't embarrass me. And don't get into fights with your coworkers. I didn't. Wear something clean tomorrow. Cut your hair. Try to look like a normal person. Got it. Mom. After hanging up, I opened WeChat Moments and saw that Su Xiaoyu had posted an update. Just witnessed the craziest thing I've ever seen. The new guy yelled at a dog, and the dog actually understood him. I still haven't recovered. Either he's crazy or I am. Please advise. This is urgent. There were more than 30 comments underneath. Have you worked so much overtime that you've lost it? Girl, find a new job. Want me to book you an appointment? With a psychiatrist? I quietly closed WeChat. Tomorrow probably wasn't going to be peaceful. The next day, I deliberately put on a clean plaid shirt and tied my hair more neatly. The moment I walked in, I could tell something was off. The woman at the front desk avoided my eyes. When I passed the pharmacy, the 2 young nurses whispering inside abruptly stopped. They both turned to look at me, then quickly looked away. I caught the tail end of a sentence. That's him, the megaphone, barking like a dog. Fine. Exactly what I expected. When I reached the examination room, Su Xiaoyu stopped me. Lin Bei. She lowered her voice. Her expression complicated. Can you explain what happened yesterday? What part? The part where you talked to the dog. Was that really just a coincidence? I looked at her serious face. What do you think? I don't think it was a coincidence. Her voice dropped even lower. I've been a veterinary nurse for 5 years. I've never seen a convulsing dog become completely calm the instant someone spoke to it, then point directly to the source of its pain. I was about to answer when Fang Mingyuan's voice came from behind us. Su Xiaoyu, stop blocking the doorway. Come in and get ready. She stuck out her tongue and slipped into the room. The morning appointments were routine. Several cats came in for vaccinations. A Pomeranian needed a dental cleaning, and a golden retriever had stitches removed. I obediently worked as Fang Mingyuan's assistant, handing him cotton balls and holding animals' heads still. I didn't say a single unnecessary word. Fang Mingyuan treated me as if I were invisible the entire time. The peace lasted until 10:30. A middle-aged woman in a mink coat pushed open the door, carrying a ragdoll cat. The cat's fur was sleek and glossy, clearly meticulously maintained, but its blue eyes were half-closed and listless, and it was so thin I could feel its ribs. Dr. Fang, Dr. Fang, please look at her. My princess hasn't eaten in 3 days. 3 whole days. She throws up everything I feed her. I'm losing my mind. Fang Mingyuan took the cat and placed her on the exam table. No food for 3 days. With vomiting. Have you changed her diet recently? No. She's always eaten imported cat food. The most expensive kind. Any environmental changes? Moving? Renovations? Nothing at all. Fang Mingyuan began the standard examination. Her temperature was normal. When he palpated her abdomen, she showed no obvious pain response. Her blood work was basically normal aside from mild dehydration. The ultrasound showed nothing unusual either. At the moment, there doesn't appear to be a major physical problem. Fang Mingyuan said with a frown. It could be stress-related anorexia or a psychogenic issue. What does that mean? The woman in mink asked, looking baffled. It means, it may be psychological. Psychological? Cats can have psychological problems? I had been holding myself back in the corner for a long time. From the second the ragdoll was placed on the table, she had been muttering non-stop. Cat language is different from dog language. Cats are usually more subtle, more passive-aggressive. But this ragdoll was not subtle at all. She was cursing someone out. Translated into human language, she said, "I'm not eating." I said, "I'm not eating. I'd rather starve." That disgusting man touched some other trashy cat and then put those hands on my food bowl. Revolting. Absolutely revolting. Does he think my nose doesn't work? 3 days ago, he came home smelling like another female cat, then had the nerve to pet my head. Tui. Cheating scumbag. I froze. Wait. Disgusting man? Another female cat? I listened more carefully. That day, his phone rang and he even hid on the balcony to answer it. He came back grinning like an idiot. Did he think I couldn't hear him? I heard everything. Little kitty, were you a good girl today? Ugh. I fell silent. Was this a pet version of catching someone cheating? The woman in mink was still questioning Fang Mingyuan. So what do? We can't just watch her starve to death. Fang Mingyuan thought for a moment. You could try changing her environment, or use a feline calming medication. I couldn't take it anymore. Everyone turned toward me. Fang Mingyuan's brow tightened instantly. Su Xiaoyu looked at me nervously and gave a tiny shake of her head. Her meaning was obvious. Please, man, don't pull another stunt. I pretended not to notice. I walked to the examination table and looked down at the ragdoll. She gave me a lazy glance. Another stupid human. In cat language, I softly asked, "Ma'am, has your male owner been secretly spending time with another cat lately?" The ragdoll's entire body jerked. Her half-closed eyes flew open, and her sapphire blue pupils locked onto me. You understand me? Yes. She sat bolt upright. The weakness from 3 days without food seemed to vanish instantly. Then tell that woman. Tell her. Her husband is keeping another cat behind her back. An orange floozy. She lives downstairs from his office. The corner of my mouth twitched. I turned around. The woman in mink was staring at me in confusion. Fang Mingyuan's expression had already begun to contort. Su Xiaoyu covered her mouth. I spent 2 seconds choosing my words. "Ma'am, may I ask you something? What is it? Do you have another cat at home? Or has your husband been around another cat recently?" She stared at me. "Another cat? No. Princess is our only one." She paused. "But a cat cafe opened downstairs from my husband's office. Lately he's been stopping there after work to pet the cats. He comes home covered in fur. I've yelled at him several times." I understood. I understood everything. "Ma'am, Princess isn't sick. She's angry." "What?" "Your husband came home carrying another cat's scent. Princess feels betrayed. She's refusing to eat in protest." The entire room was silent for 3 seconds. Then the woman slapped her thigh. "Holy crap. I knew it. Princess puffed up the second my husband came home that day. I thought it was the cat food." She scooped up the ragdoll. The cat pressed her face into the mink coat, her eyes clearly saying, "Finally, someone with a brain. Princess. Mommy understands now. We'll go home and kill your father." The ragdoll meowed. Translation. Acceptable. The woman left. The 3 of us were alone in the examination room again. Su Xiaoyu's eyes were glowing so brightly it was almost frightening. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again before finally managing to say, "Lin Bei, who the hell are you?" Fang Mingyuan said nothing. He stood in place, removed his glasses, and wiped the lenses. He moved very slowly. He wiped them for a long time. Then he put them back on and looked at me. "What basis did you use for that diagnosis?" "Experience." I gave him the same answer as the day before. "Experience?" His voice rose half an octave. "You observed her for less than 2 minutes. You performed no examination and consulted no data. You made a diagnosis based on so-called experience. What if you had been wrong?" "But I wasn't. Not this time." His volume rose again. "What if next time you tell the owner of a cat with acute pancreatitis that the animal is merely angry and delay treatment?" "I won't." "How can you guarantee that?" I looked at him. His reaction clearly went beyond an academic objection. He felt insulted. He had studied for 10 grueling years, earned a degree overseas, obtained his license, performed countless surgeries, and climbed step by step to his current position. Then some backwoods amateur in a plaid shirt showed up from the mountains, unable even to use a stethoscope, shouted at an animal twice, and figured out the problem. I would have hated it too. "Dr. Fang," I said, keeping my voice as calm as possible, "I'm not here to steal your job. I'm not even qualified to wear a white coat. I don't know how to hold a scalpel. Then why are you here?" "My mother made me come." Fang Mingyuan's lips trembled twice. Then he turned and walked out, slamming the door hard behind him. Su Xiaoyu hurried over, wearing an expression that was equal parts excitement and concern. "He's angry," I noticed. "Are you really talking to animals? It's not behavioral analysis or reading micro-expressions?" I looked at her. "Which version do you believe?" "The ridiculous one." Her eyes sparkled. "Because animal behavior can't explain what happened with that husky yesterday." "Smart girl. But don't tell everyone." I warned her. "No one will believe you. They'll just think you're sick." "You saw my Moments post?" "Yeah." Her face reddened, and she scratched her head. "I deleted it. The comments got too ridiculous." At lunch, I noticed a subtle change in the break room atmosphere. Before, everyone had simply ignored the new guy. Now they were secretly observing the new guy. Several nurses sat together eating boxed lunches. Every so often, they glanced in my direction and leaned closer to whisper. One brave young nurse carried her lunchbox over and sat directly across from me. "You're Lin Bei, right? I'm Zhou Jia, from the pharmacy. Nice to meet you. I heard you yelled at a husky yesterday, and it obeyed you?" "More or less." "Can you talk to cats too?" "Yes." Her eyes lit up. "Then can you ask my orange cat where he hid my gold necklace? I've been looking for it for 2 months." Several nurses nearby immediately perked up their ears. "Bring the cat another day." "Seriously? I can't guarantee results." I took a bite of food. Some cats refused to cooperate. "Fine. I'll bring him tomorrow." After that lunch, my status changed from the guy Auntie Zhao forced into the hospital through connections to that weird guy who might be able to talk to animals. I was still a weird guy, but at least now I had some practical value. At 3 in the afternoon, I was in the storage room organizing supplies to work Fang Mingyuan had assigned me, obviously to keep me out of the way. When my phone rang, it was a WeChat voice message from Su Xiaoyu. "Lin Bei, get to the front desk. Something happened." I dropped the gauze in my hand and ran. When I reached the lobby, I stopped short. 6 or 7 people were standing there. At the front was a middle-aged man in an expensive suit, radiating anger. 2 bodyguards in black uniforms stood behind him. Between them, they were holding the leash of an enormous German shepherd. The dog was much larger than average. It wore a custom leather vest, and the collar around its neck was obviously expensive, but it was in terrible condition. Its legs were rigid. Its tail was tucked between its hind legs. Its ears were pinned flat against its head, and a constant low whine came from its throat. Fear. Extreme fear. I could feel it the moment I entered the lobby. That dog was terrified out of its mind. The middle-aged man was slamming his palm against the front desk. "Get your director out here." I booked the 3 o'clock specialist appointment. "Where is Qian Guangjin?" The receptionist looked close to tears. "Mr. Zhou, Director Qian is away on business today. Dr. Fang can." "Fang Mingyuan?" Mr. Zhou sneered. "Last time I brought Huzi here, he messed around for a week and still couldn't figure anything out. In the end, all he gave me was a tranquilizer. What good did that do?" As he spoke, Fang Mingyuan came out of the examination room. His expression was calm. but I saw the hand in his coat pocket clench into a fist. Mr. Zhou, regarding the situation last time, don't explain anything to me. Mr. Zhou cut him off. Husky is getting worse. He used to howl only in the middle of the night. Now he does it during the day too. He startles at everything. No one can even touch him. I paid 800,000 yuan for the descendant of a champion dog. If you can't cure him, can this hospital afford to compensate me? 800,000 yuan. I swallowed quietly. Fang Mingyuan's face looked strained, but he maintained his professional composure. Mr. Zhou, the previous tests did not reveal any physical disease. Husky's blood work, imaging, and nerve conduction results were all normal. His current symptoms are more consistent with a behavioral problem, right? That again? Mr. Zhou interrupted. Can a behavioral problem get this severe? He trembles whenever he sees a person. He's a 90-kilogram German Shepherd, and he shakes like a leaf. I looked at the dog. He really was shaking. Every muscle in his body trembled faintly. His eyes constantly swept over the people around him. His lips curled back to expose his teeth, but it wasn't an attacking posture. It was defensive. He was a creature so badly frightened by something that he was desperately trying to look dangerous. Then I heard his voice. It was faint and fragmented, like sleep talking. Don't come closer. Don't come closer. It will come. It comes at night. My heart sank. What would come? I focused and kept listening. Third floor, that room on the third floor, there's something inside. It isn't human. It stands there and watches me. Every night. It watches me every night. The hair on my back stood up. I took a deep breath, suppressed the chill crawling over me, and stepped forward. Mr. Zhou. Every head turned toward me at once, including Fang Mingyuan's. His expression changed instantly, clearly warning me not to interfere. I pretended not to see it. I'm a new employee here. My name is Lin Bei. I tried to sound as normal as possible. May I try approaching Husky? Mr. Zhou looked me up and down. Who are you? What qualifications do you have? None, but I've studied canine behavior. Behavior? He frowned. That again? This is different. I looked at the trembling German Shepherd. I want to find out exactly what he's afraid of. Mr. Zhou was silent for several seconds. One of the bodyguards leaned close and whispered something in his ear. Mr. Zhou waved a hand. Fine. Fang Mingyuan can't cure him anyway. Let the kid try. We've got nothing to lose. Fang Mingyuan's face darkened, but he didn't stop me. I walked toward the German Shepherd. The moment he saw me approach, his trembling intensified, and the growl in his throat grew louder. The bodyguard holding the leash tightened his arm. Be careful. He's been extremely aggressive these past few days. I stopped about a meter away and crouched down. In dog language, I spoke softly. The human equivalent was, "Hey, buddy, don't be afraid. I can understand you." The German Shepherd's growl stopped abruptly. He lifted his head. His brown eyes were filled with astonishment. Then, for a split second, hope flashed through them. You really understand me? Yes. Then tell them. There's something on the third floor. It comes every night. It stands outside the window and stares at me. The third floor. The unused room on the third floor of his house. His voice became faster and more frightened. I can smell it. It doesn't smell human. It doesn't smell like anything alive. But it's there. Every night. Every single night. A cold shiver ran down my back. I stood and turned toward Mr. Zhou. Mr. Zhou, how many floors does your home have? It's a detached 4-story villa. Why? Is there a room on the third floor that no one usually uses? His face changed. Very quickly. How did you know that? Husky told me. I looked directly into his eyes. Every night. Something in that room terrifies him. He says it isn't human. It appears by the window every night and watches him. The lobby became so quiet that the hum of the air conditioner was audible. Mr. Zhou's face changed from anger to shock, then to a strange, indescribable pallor. His Adam's apple moved. The third floor, that was my mother's room. His voice suddenly became very soft. She died 3 months ago. My scalp prickled. No one around us dared to breathe loudly. Su Xiaoyu covered her mouth, her eyes wide. All the academic doubt vanished from Fang Mingyuan's face. In its place was the pure, instinctive awe any human being feels before the unknown. That room. Mr. Zhou's voice trembled. It's been locked since my mother passed. No one has gone inside. Husky used to love lying in there. My mother doted on him more than anyone. He couldn't continue. I looked at the German Shepherd. He had calmed down. He lay on the floor with his head buried between his front paws and let out a long, Mournful cry. It was no longer fear. It was grief. He isn't afraid, I said softly. He doesn't understand. He remembers that scent. To him, it means safety and warmth. But now the scent appears in the wrong way. He can sense it, but he doesn't understand why that person no longer pets him or speaks to him and only stands there. Mr. Zhou's eyes reddened. A wealthy man in his 40s, polished from head to toe, stood in the lobby of an animal hospital with tears in his eyes in front of everyone. Who's he? He crouched down and wrapped his arms around the 40-kilogram dog. Who's he? Grandma. Grandma couldn't bear to leave you. The German shepherd buried his head against the man's chest and whimpered. I stepped back twice, then turned away. Behind me, I heard Su Xiaoyu sniffle. Fang Mingyuan stood completely still. When I passed him, he didn't look at me, but I heard him whisper so quietly it was almost inaudible. This isn't scientific. I didn't turn around. I thought, you're right, Dr. Fang. It isn't scientific, but some things can't be explained by science. I was only a wild man who could understand animals. The story about Mr. Zhou spread through the hospital afterward, and the rumors became pretty outrageous. Version 1. The new mountain kid was a medium who could speak to the dead. Version 2. Lin Bei was a disciple of the Maoshan school, working undercover at the animal hospital to locate the true bodies of reincarnated animals. Version 3. The closest to the truth. The kid might actually be able to talk to animals. No one believed version 3. It was too ridiculous. The first two versions spread much farther. I didn't care. They could say whatever they wanted. What mattered was the call I received from Qian Guangjin on my third day of work. Lin Bei. His voice no longer held that polite, perfunctory tone. He sounded unable to contain his excitement. Mr. Zhou called me last night. He said you solved a huge problem for him. He's adding another 500,000 yuan to his sponsorship of the hospital. 500,000. Oh. What do you mean? Oh? Do you have any idea how much 500,000 is? We don't make that much net profit in an entire quarter. That's good. Then, he also said every bit of Huzi's care, checkups, and grooming will be done here from now on. That dog alone will spend nearly 100,000 yuan a year. Okay, you. Qian Guangjin laughed in exasperation over the phone. Listen carefully, kid. I don't care what bizarre method you're using. You are now this hospital's treasure. Do you understand? A treasure. Fang Mingyuan? What is Fang Mingyuan compared with that? He's worked here 3 years. And the biggest account he ever brought in was only 80,000. Director. Dr. Fang is very skilled. What good is skill if it can't bring me 500,000? There was the naked face of capitalism. Starting today, you're no longer Fang Mingyuan's assistant. I'm giving you your own examination room. What? We'll call it the Special Behavioral Treatment Room. You'll handle unusual and difficult cases. Anything other hospitals can't solve. Anything Fang Mingyuan can't solve. We send to you. Director. I don't even have a license. I'll take care of the license issue. You just handle the cases. He hung up. I stood there stunned for a long time. It had taken only 3 days to go from errand running assistant to having my own examination room. Sure enough, in front of money, rules were worth nothing. When the news reached Fang Mingyuan, he was neutering a Persian cat. According to Su Xiaoyu's later description, the instant he heard it, the hemostat in his hand nearly fell into the cat's abdomen. Then he said nothing. He finished the operation, removed his gloves, and went to the director's office. 20 minutes later, he came out with a face like thunder. When he passed the doorway of the room I was setting up, he stopped. I looked up at him. He pushed up his glasses and opened his mouth. In the end, he said only one sentence. You're going to cause a disaster sooner or later. Then he walked away. I was holding the new sign I had just hung on the door. Special Behavioral Treatment Room. I thought, you may be right, Dr. Fang. But not today. On the first day my new room opened, Zhou Jia brought in her orange cat. A huge pet carrier held an orange beast that weighed at least 7.5 kilograms. His name is Zhao Kai. Zhou Jia said, looking at me expectantly. Ask him where he hid my gold necklace. I opened the carrier. Zhao Kai sauntered out lazily. His enormous body made the exam table creak under his weight. He looked up at me. Who are you? I spoke in cat language. Hello. I'm Lin Bei. Your owner is looking for her gold necklace. Zhao Kai yawned. Oh, that shiny thing. Yes. Do you know where it is? Yes. Where? He licked the fur on one paw and replied slowly. Give me 5 cans of tuna, and I'll tell you. I stared at him. I turned to Zhou Jia. Your cat says he won't tell us unless you give him 5 cans of tuna. Zhou Jia stared at me. Su Xiaoyu doubled over laughing in the doorway. He's blackmailing me now? Zhou Jia glared at her cat. Zhao Kai. You fat bastard. I feed you, clean up after you, and wait on you every day. And now you're negotiating with me? Zhao Kai kept licking his paw, completely unmoved. His expression said, take it or leave it. Zhou Jia ground her teeth for 3 minutes. In the end, she placed an order on her phone and bought 5 cans of the most expensive imported tuna on the spot. There, I bought them. Ask him now. I turned back to Zhao Kai. She bought the cans. They'll arrive today. Tell us first. Only then did Zhao Kai stretch in satisfaction. Under the washing machine. Back left corner. I got covered in dust when I pushed it under there and almost got stuck. Why did you hide the necklace? Because every time she wears that thing and goes out, she comes home very late. I don't want her going out. Possessiveness. This cat was more controlling than a boyfriend. I translated the answer for Zhou Jia. Her expression shifted from shock to anger to helpless amusement. Finally, she grabbed Zhao Kai by the scruff of his neck. You rotten cat. That necklace cost more than 3,000 yuan. You hid it for 2 months. I almost thought the cleaning lady stole it. I nearly accused an innocent person. Zhao Kai dangled from her hand with an expression that clearly said, whatever. You won't hit me anyway. As it turned out, his judgment was accurate. Zhou Jia cursed him for 3 minutes, then carefully placed him back in the carrier and even added a small blanket. Come on. We're going home so I can open your tuna. She reached the door, then suddenly turned around. Lin Bei, this ability of yours. Are you really talking to animals? More or less. Oh my god. She gripped the doorframe. Do you have any idea how famous you'd become if you started live streaming this? I smiled but didn't answer. Still, her words landed somewhere in my mind like a seed. After Zhou Jia left, I had 3 more appointments that afternoon. A corgi was losing fur for no apparent reason. After questioning him, I learned that his owner had bought a goldfish, and he was so jealous he had started pulling out his own hair. A Siamese cat howled at exactly 3 in the morning every night. The reason was that the neighbor had a male cat who sat on her windowsill at 3 every morning and flirted with her. She was answering him. A toy poodle refused dog food and would eat only from his owner's bowl. He was simply picky. His exact words were, those dry little pellets are an insult to the taste buds. None of them were sick in the traditional sense, but every problem had tormented the owners for a long time. For me, solving them basically meant turning on the megaphone at low volume and asking a few questions. The fastest cases took 5 minutes. Su Xiaoyu recorded everything from beginning to end. She wore out 2 pens. You really are talking to them, aren't you? She asked at last, setting down her pen and staring at me as if I were an alien. Stop looking at me like that. I can't help it. She blinked. Do you realize how many cases you solved this afternoon? You handled as many as Dr. Fong sees in an entire day. He practices real medicine. What I'm doing is more like counseling. Pet psychologist. Su Xiaoyu nodded. You could use that title. At 7 that evening, I finished cleaning the room and headed home. The moment I stepped outside, my phone rang. An unknown number. I answered. Mr. Lin Bei? The voice on the other end was steady, carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being in charge. This is Zhou Jianjun. You saw Husky 2 days ago. Oh, Mr. Zhou. Hello. How is Husky? Much better. I opened my mother's room, cleaned it, and placed some of her clothes near Husky's bed. He doesn't tremble anymore. And he didn't howl last night. That's good. Mr. Lin, I'm calling because I'd like to ask you for a favor. Go ahead. I have a friend named Chen. He's in real estate. His family has an Alaskan Malamute that has developed a problem. It isn't a health issue. It's behavioral. The dogs suddenly began guarding food and territory and attacking family members. They hired 3 dog trainers, but none of them could fix it. The last trainer needed 13 stitches after being bitten. I was silent for a second. Aggressive behavior, that's more complicated. I know, but I told him about you, and he's very interested. He said money is no object if you can solve it. It isn't about money. Mr. Zhou, aggression means something is seriously wrong psychologically. I need to see the dog in person before I can know what's happening. When are you available? He can send a car. I thought for a moment. Tomorrow afternoon. I have several appointments in the morning. Good. I'll have him send a car to the hospital at 2 tomorrow afternoon. Mr. Lin, please help us. After hanging up, I stood outside the animal hospital. The night wind carried the city's distinct smell of gasoline and barbecue smoke. It was completely different from the mountains. Mountain air was clean, scented with pine needles and soil, with the occasional musk drifting from a fox den. I had been in the city only 3 days, but I had a feeling the real show was only beginning. The next morning, I saw patients as usual. A young woman in her early 20s brought in a Labrador. She said the dog had recently started whining by the door and refusing to let her leave the apartment. When I asked him why, the dog said, "She keeps going out with that man who smells strange. He treats her badly. Last time she came home, she cried in secret. I smelled the salt. She can't go out with him again." I hesitated for a long time. Finally, I gave her a gentler human version. "Your lab may feel that you've been emotionally upset lately. He's worried about you going out." The young woman's eyes reddened immediately. She crouched down and hugged the big golden retriever. No, the Labrador. And cried for several minutes. "Baby, Mommy understands. I won't go anymore." The Labrador rested his big head on her shoulder and gently wagged his tail. He glanced at me. "Thanks, brother." I nodded without speaking. With some things, all I could do was build a bridge. After the young woman left, Su Xiaoyu leaned against the doorframe with a complicated expression. "Lin Bei, do you think animals understand love better than people? It isn't that they understand it better." I organized the items on the table. "They just don't lie." Su Xiaoyu was silent for several seconds. "That's pretty nice." At 12:30, I was eating my boxed lunch when Zhou Jia ran in. "Lin Bei, I found the necklace." It really was under the washing machine. In the back left corner, it was wedged between the drain pipe and the wall. I had to shine a flashlight in there forever before I saw it. Her face was red with excitement. "Oh my God. You're incredible." I almost called the police and accused the cleaning lady of stealing it. Thank goodness I didn't. I would have ruined an innocent person's life. "And the 5 cans of tuna? He got them." That fat jerk ate 2 cans, burped, rolled over, and went to sleep. I smiled. "By the way," Zhou Jia suddenly leaned close and lowered her voice. "I heard something." "What?" "Dr. Fong had a fight with the director this morning." My chopsticks stopped. "About what?" "I don't know the details, but the nurses at the station heard some of it. Dr. Fong said things like, someone without a license can't see patients independently, and who takes responsibility if there's a medical accident?" The director said, "He doesn't perform surgery or prescribe medication. So how is that medical practice?" Then Dr. Fong seemed to throw something. It was loud. I was silent for a while. "He isn't wrong. You're not angry." "Why would I be? His reasoning makes sense. I really don't have a license. If something happens, the hospital can't take that liability." Zhou Jia frowned. "But you've obviously helped so many." "Helping is helping. Rules are rules." I said it calmly, but I knew this wasn't over. At 1:55 that afternoon, a black Maybach stopped outside the animal hospital. The driver got out and opened the rear door. I climbed in with my woven sack over my shoulder. The back seat was leather and heated beneath me. It was more comfortable than the stone bed I had used in the mountains by an unbelievable margin. After 40 minutes, the car entered a gated villa community, the kind with security guards at the entrance and 3 separate access checks before anyone could get inside. At last, it stopped in front of a detached white French-style villa. 4 cars were parked outside. The cheapest one was a Porsche Cayenne. When I got out carrying my woven sack, 2 men were waiting at the door. One was Mr. Zhou. The other was a tall, heavy-set middle-aged man with a round face and thinning hair. He wore a casual silk shirt and slippers, but his eyes were badly bloodshot, and the bags beneath them were deep enough to hold coins. He clearly hadn't slept properly in days. "Old Chen. He's here." Mr. Zhou patted his shoulder. "This is Lin Bei, the man I told you about." Mr. Chen looked me up and down. His gaze lingered on the woven sack for 2 seconds. "Young man, how old are you?" 28. "Joe says you can communicate with animals?" "More or less." His expression was complicated. He was skeptical, but more than that, he looked like a desperate man making one final gamble. "Come inside." The villa had marble floors, a crystal chandelier, and a curved staircase. But those weren't what caught my attention. I noticed the marks on the floors and walls. A deep claw mark stretched from the living room to the foot of the stairs. One corner of the sofa had been ripped open, exposing the foam. 3 clear bite marks scarred the stair rail. A potted plant had been overturned in the corner, spilling soil across the floor, and no one had cleaned it up. The entire first floor smelled of disinfectant. Pet deodorizer. In a faint metallic scent. Blood. Mr. Chen led me through the living room to a separate room in the backyard. The door was iron, secured with 2 locks. A small viewing window had been installed in it so people could look inside from the hallway. "He's in there," Mr. Chen said quietly, as if afraid of disturbing something. I leaned toward the window. The room was not large, perhaps 20 square meters. Bite-resistant rubber mats covered the floor. A water bowl and food bowl sat in one corner. The food bowl was full. The water bowl had been overturned. At the far end of the room, a huge black shape was curled in a corner, an Alaskan Malamute. His coat was black and white, and he was much larger than an ordinary Malamute. By my estimate, he weighed at least 60 kilograms. His back faced the door. His entire body was curled into a ball, and his head was buried beneath his front paws. I couldn't see his face, but I could see his shoulder blades rising and falling slightly. He was awake. "His name is Diwang," Mr. Chen said behind me, his voice hoarse. "He's 5. We raised him from a puppy. He used to be extremely gentle. My daughter could sit on his back, and he wouldn't move." "When did he change?" "A month ago. It happened suddenly." "Was there a trigger?" Mr. Chen hesitated. "I'm not sure. Tell me everything you can." "A month ago, I went away on a 2-week business trip. When I came home, he was like this. My wife said something started going wrong while I was away. First, Diwang stopped eating. Then he attacked the housekeeper. Later, he even bit my wife and daughter." "Did anything change in the house while you were gone? Any new people? Renovations? Furniture moved?" "No." Mr. Chen thought for a moment. "Everything was normal. My wife, my daughter, and the housekeeper. Just the 3 of them." I stared at the curled black shape. He still hadn't moved, but I could faintly hear him making a sound. It was very soft. It wasn't barking or whimpering. It sounded more like he was talking to himself. I focused. The words came in broken fragments. "Can't let them come in. Can't. No one can come near. I have to guard it. I have to guard this place. She'll come again. She comes every time. I have to stop her." "She? Who is she?" "Mr. Zhou." "Mr. Chen." I straightened. "I need to go inside." Both men's faces changed at once. "Inside?" Mr. Chen's voice cracked. "Are you insane? The last trainer who went and needed 13 stitches. That's a 60-kilogram Alaskan Malamute. When he attacks, he can knock down a grown man." "I know. You can't go in. I can't take responsibility if something happens to you." Mr. Zhou looked worried too. "Lin Bei, why don't you talk to him through the door? Last time, you communicated with Husky from 2 or 3 meters away in the lobby. This is different." I looked at the motionless figure through the window. Husky was afraid. All he needed was a sense of safety. This dog is guarding something. He's on maximum alert. Any voice coming from a distance will feel like an intruder. I have to enter his comfort zone and let him confirm that I'm not an enemy before he'll communicate. Mr. Chen grew anxious. "But what if? Give me a chain. The thickest one you have. And a pair of bite-resistant gloves." 10 minutes later, I put on a bite protection suit that one of the trainers had left behind. Thick Kevlar gloves covered my hands. I held a heavy chain in my right hand and kept my left hand empty. I left the megaphone in my woven sack. It would be useless here. In this situation, it would only frighten him. What I needed was a quiet, one-on-one conversation. "Open the door." Mr. Chen's hands were trembling. Mr. Zhou helped him turn the locks. The iron door opened a crack. I slipped sideways through it. The door slammed shut behind me. Bang! The atmosphere inside the room changed immediately. Heavy. Oppressive. The sharp smell of disinfectant mixed with dog fur. The black figure curled in the corner moved. Slowly, he raised his head. A pair of amber eyes appeared between his front paws and fixed on me. I had seen that look countless times in the mountains. It was the look of a mother wolf when an intruder approached her pups. Not anger. Resolve. The look said, "One more step, and either you die or I do." His lips began to curl back, exposing white teeth. A deep growl rolled from his throat like distant thunder. The floor vibrated faintly beneath my feet. I stopped. About 4 meters separated us. I slowly crouched, lowered my center of gravity, and turned my body sideways so I wasn't facing him head-on. Then, in dog language, using the softest and gentlest voice I could make, I said, "Brother, I'm not here to take your territory." The growl faltered. He tilted his head. "I only want to talk. If you don't want to, I'll leave." He didn't answer, but the growl dropped in pitch. I continued, You've been guarding this place a long time, haven't you? Aren't you tired? Silence. A long silence. Then a sigh. Yes. Dog's sigh too. It was a heavy sound forced from deep inside his chest, full of exhaustion beyond words. You understand me? I do. Then what? Are you? A human. A human who can understand your kind. He was silent for a long time. Then, slowly, he unfolded his curled body a little. I finally saw all of him. His black and white fur was tangled and filthy, with several mats. Dried tear tracks marked the corners of his eyes. Yes. Dogs cry too. He had lost a great deal of weight, and his ribs were faintly visible. He must once have been a magnificent dog. Now he looked like an old soldier who had defended a city alone for far too long. What are you guarding? I asked softly. His gaze moved away from me and settled on a corner of the room. My little owner. Your little owner? She comes to see me. She comes every day. But those people won't let her. Those people. He suddenly became agitated, his whole body tightening. They hit her. I heard it. She cried. That woman in black. She hit my little owner. The woman in black? The housekeeper? Yes. Diwang jerked his head up, fury flashing in his eyes. Her. Every time my little owner finished crying, there was a new smell on her, the smell of pain. I smelled it. Blood. Bruises. My blood went cold. Are you sure? I'm sure. He almost roared. After that man left, the big owner, that woman changed. She stopped letting my little owner come outside to see me. My little owner snuck out to find me. And when the woman saw her, she grabbed her by the hair and dragged her back. You were trying to protect your little owner? Yes. So you attacked everyone. I want to bite her to death. Diwang rose to his feet. A 60-kilogram Malamute standing at full height looked like a small mountain. Every strand of fur bristled. His front paws scraped deep marks into the floor. But they locked me in here. Lock me up. I can't get out. My little owner, is she all right? Is that woman still hitting her? Calm down. I can't calm down. He stepped toward me. His presence made the entire room feel smaller. I didn't retreat. I looked straight into his eyes and spoke with the firmest voice I had. I'll investigate. If what you said is true, I won't let that woman touch your little owner again. He stopped. His breathing was as rough as a bellows. You mean it? I swear. He stared at me for a long time. Then the mountain-like figure slowly lay down. He rested his massive head on his front paws. The fury faded from his amber eyes. In its place was a heartbreaking vulnerability. Save her. His voice was as faint as the wind. Please. I clenched my fists. Then I stood, turned toward the iron door, and knocked 3 times. The door opened. When Mr. Chen and Mr. Zhou saw me walk out unharmed, they both released long breaths of relief. Well? Mr. Chen asked urgently. What did he say? I looked at him. Mr. Chen, where is your daughter? What? Your daughter. Where is she right now? He stared at me. Upstairs. She's doing homework in her room. Take me to see her. See her? Why? I took a deep breath. Diwang isn't attacking people because he's gone mad. He's protecting your daughter. Mr. Chen's pupils contracted sharply. What do you mean? Your housekeeper, the woman in black. During the 2 weeks you were away, did she hit your daughter? The air froze. In 3 seconds, Mr. Chen's face passed through confusion, shock, disbelief, and rage. Impossible. Sister Wang has worked for us for 3 years. My daughter calls her Auntie Wang. Mr. Chen. I interrupted. You don't have to believe me. But go upstairs and look at your daughter's body. Her arms. Her back. See whether there are injuries. His face turned completely white. He spun around and ran upstairs. Mr. Zhou glanced at me without speaking and followed him. I remained where I was. From behind the iron door, Diwang gave a low whimper. 3 minutes later, a roar came from upstairs. I had heard angry brown bears in the mountains. It sounded about the same. Then came a little girl's crying and a woman's shrill defense. It wasn't me, I didn't, she fell by herself. Bullshit. Mr. Chen's voice tore through the entire house. Her back is covered in pinch marks. Covered. She's bruised black and blue. Tell me how she did that. By falling. I closed my eyes. So it was true. Diwang had not lied. Animals never lie. 15 minutes later, 2 bodyguards dragged the housekeeper out. The woman was in her 40s. Her face deathly pale. And she was still protesting. It wasn't me. The child was disobedient. I was only disciplining her. No one listened. Mr. Chen's wife, a frail woman, sat on the living room sofa holding her daughter and shaking with sobs. How did I not notice? I was home every day. How did I not notice? The little girl looked 7 or 8 years old. She was small and quiet, with her hair tied into 2 braids. She wasn't crying. She only kept looking toward the backyard. Diwang, she said softly. Is Diwang still locked up? I crouched in front of her. Do you want to see him? She nodded. Her eyes red. Was he locked up because of me? That day, Auntie Wong hit me, and Diwang suddenly ran over and bit her. Then Dad locked him up. He was protecting me, wasn't he? Yes. My voice felt rough. He has been protecting you the whole time. Even after they locked him up, he was still trying to find a way to protect you. At last, tears spilled down the little girl's cheeks. I want to see him. Mr. Chen came over. His eyes were red, and his hands still trembled. He said nothing. He bent down, picked up his daughter, and strode toward the backyard. When the iron door opened, Diwang was already standing. He faced the doorway and gave one small wag of his tail. The moment he saw the little girl, the 60-kilogram Malamute let out a long, trembling whine. His entire body shook. Not from fear, from the relief of surviving a disaster. The little girl struggled out of her father's arms and stumbled toward him. She threw herself into the mass of black and white fur. Diwang placed his enormous head on her small shoulder, his tail whipping wildly as he licked the tears from her face. Diwang, Diwang, I missed you so much. Woof. I didn't need to translate what was inside that bark. Everyone understood. Mr. Chen stood in the doorway with both hands gripping the frame. He looked completely drained, his shoulders trembling. Mr. Zhou stood beside him, patting his back without speaking. I quietly walked away. At the entrance to the yard, I lit a cigarette. In the mountains, the rule was to sit in silence for a while after doing something important. I had taken 3 drags when footsteps sounded behind me. Mr. Chen approached. His eyes were still red, but his composure had returned. Lin Bei. Yeah? How much? Name your price. Nothing. That's impossible. His voice was deep. You saved my daughter. This isn't about money, but I have to show my gratitude. Really? You don't. I crushed out the cigarette. Let Diwang out. Give him a bath. And feed him a good meal. He hasn't eaten properly in a month. Mr. Chen pressed his lips together. He was silent for a long time. All right. Another pause followed. Lin Bei, with an ability like yours, you're wasting your talent in that little animal hospital. I smiled. My mother wants me to have a respectable job. The animal hospital is fine. Your mother told you to get a respectable job. She didn't tell you to let them use you as an errand boy, did she? There was a deeper meaning behind his words. I didn't respond. By the time the Maybach brought me back to the hospital, it was after 9 at night. The hospital had long since closed, but the light was still on in Fang Mingyuan's second-floor office. I stood downstairs and looked up at it. What was he doing so late? Reading research papers? Writing reports? Or trying to figure out how to prove I was a fraud? It didn't matter. When I got home, a WeChat message arrived from Mr. Chen. It was a photograph. Diwang lay on the living room rug, and the little girl was asleep with her head resting on his belly. The caption contained one word. Thanks. I set my phone beside my pillow and stared at the ceiling for a while. In the mountains, I used animal speech to solve simple problems for animals. Territorial disputes, mating anxiety, difficulty finding food. After returning to the city, I discovered something. Animals' problems were almost never really animal problems. They were human problems. The animals were simply using their own methods to cry out for the powerless people who could not speak for themselves. Somewhere in the middle of those thoughts, I fell asleep. At 3 in the morning, my phone rang. Half asleep, I grabbed it and looked at the screen. Su Xiaoyu. At this hour, I answered. Lin Bei. Her voice was low, but she couldn't hide the tension in it. Something happened. What? The director just got a call from the city zoo. One of their tigers has a major problem. It went berserk and injured 2 keepers. Every veterinarian at the zoo is out of options. I was fully awake. A tiger? Yes. The director said word about you spread after Mr. Zhou and Mr. Chen told people what happened. The zoo contacted us. He wants you at the hospital by 7 tomorrow morning. They're sending a vehicle. A tiger. I sat up, my heart suddenly beating faster. During 10 years in the mountains, I had dealt with all kinds of dangerous animals, but I had never talked with a tiger. I had studied canines, felines, birds, and reptiles. But large predatory cats had the most complex language system of all. The slightest shift in tone could reverse a meaning completely. And this was an enraged tiger. If I made a mistake in communication, I might not even qualify as a snack. One swipe could flatten me into paste. Lin Bei? Did you hear me? I heard you. Are you going? I was silent for 2 seconds. Yes. After hanging up, I got out of bed and opened my woven sack. From the very bottom, I pulled out something the size of my palm. A bone tablet covered in densely carved symbols. My master had given it to me. When I left the mountains, he pressed it into my hand and said one thing. You'll eventually meet a moment when you need this. The king of beasts cannot be persuaded by language alone. I closed my fingers around the tablet. It was cold. Outside the window, the city lights still burned through the night. Tomorrow would be an entirely different level of test. At 6:30 in the morning, Qian Guangjin was already waiting outside the hospital. A thin layer of sweat shone on his bald head. Clearly, he hadn't slept well either. You're here. He grabbed my arm. Lin Bei, this is a huge job. The city zoo, that's one of the biggest attractions in the region. If you solve this, our hospital's reputation. Director. I pulled my arm free. Tell me the situation first. He cleared his throat and lowered his voice. At 8 last night, a Siberian tiger at the zoo suddenly attacked and injured 2 keepers. One was bitten on the arm, the other on the thigh. Fortunately, the isolation system activated quickly. Otherwise, someone could have died. What's the tiger's name? Dazhuang. An 8-year-old male. He's one of the zoo's star animals and was always very gentle before. He had an excellent relationship with his keepers. What triggered it? No one knows. The zoo veterinarians examined him from every angle. His physical condition is normal. He isn't in breeding season. And he isn't sick. He simply went mad out of nowhere. At exactly 7, a minibus from the zoo stopped outside the hospital. 2 people were already inside. One was a man in his 50s wearing a zoo uniform. Exhaustion written across his face. I later learned he was Deputy Director E. The other was a capable-looking woman in her early 30s with short hair. She wore the same uniform, but her name badge read Supervisor. Large carnivore area. Her name was Jiang Yu. When she saw me get into the vehicle, disappointment clearly flashed through her eyes. Apparently, the animal language expert she had imagined wasn't supposed to look like me. You're Lin Bei? Yes. Have you ever worked with large cats? I encountered Siberian leopards several times in the mountains, but I've never dealt directly with a tiger. Her brow tightened even more. She turned toward Deputy Director E. He gave a bitter smile. Xiao Jiang, we don't have any other options. Let Mr. Lin try. Try? That's a 200-kilogram adult male tiger. If something happens, I may not need to enter the enclosure, I said. Both of them looked at me. Let me observe from a distance first and listen to what he's saying. Jiang Yu opened her mouth, probably wanting to say, you really think you can understand a tiger? In the end, she swallowed the words. The drive took 20 minutes. We entered through the zoo's rear gate. Staff members guided us the entire way, which clearly meant the area had already been cleared. The large carnivore zone was isolated behind iron fencing, reinforced glass, and multiple barriers. I heard the sound before we reached it. A deep growl, not the earth-shaking roar people imagine from a tiger. This was continuous, suppressed, rumbling like thunder trapped beneath the ground. It was more frightening than open rage. This predator was standing at the edge of collapse. He could explode at any moment. When we reached the outside of the tiger enclosure, I saw him, Dazhuang. A 200-kilogram Siberian tiger paced back and forth inside the enclosure with every hair standing on end. His steps weren't the quick, restless movements of anxiety. They were heavy and mechanical, like a prisoner who had walked the same cell 10,000 times. His eyes were cloudy orange-yellow and webbed with red. The muscles around his mouth twitched constantly, exposing half of his canines. His tail hung stiffly, the tip jerking at irregular intervals. I stood in an observation corridor about 15 meters from the enclosure. 2 layers of iron fencing and 1 wall of reinforced glass separated us. It was safe enough. Make the area quiet. I told Jiang Yu behind me. Everyone needs to move at least 20 meters away. No sounds. She hesitated, then waved for the staff to withdraw. The entire area fell silent. Only Dazhuang's heavy footsteps and the constant low growl remained. I closed my eyes and concentrated. Feline language is more than 10 times as complex as canine language. Canines combine tone, frequency, and body language. Felines, especially large cats, also communicate through infrasound. Those low-frequency vibrations, inaudible to ordinary human ears, carry their deepest emotional information. When my master taught me to hear infrasound, he made me sit beneath a waterfall for 3 months. After 3 months, I could distinguish the smallest difference in every frequency. Now I focused all my attention deep inside my eardrums, searching for what lay just beyond the edge of normal human hearing. Beneath Dazhuang's growl, I found it, a deeper layer of vibration, like the trembling of the earth before an earthquake, broken and intermittent. It carried an emotion I had never heard before. Not anger, not fear, grief, absolute, world-shattering grief. I concentrated on interpreting the meaning inside the infrasound. A tiger's language structure was completely different from that of dogs and ordinary cats. They did not use sentences, they used images. Each sequence of infrasound corresponded to an emotional image, a scene. It was as though you were replaying a memory over and over. I saw it, an open field, not a real field, but the simulated grassland activity area inside the tiger habitat. Sunlight, warmth, another tiger, slightly smaller than Dazhuang, with paler fur, a female. They lay together, heads touching. The image was peaceful, gentle. Then the image shattered. The space became empty. The other tiger was gone. Her scent remained in the air, but it was fading, fainter and fainter. Dazhuang searched everywhere. He couldn't find her. The scene repeated, again and again. He couldn't find her. He couldn't find her. I opened my eyes and took a deep breath. Then I turned to Jiangyu. Did Dazhuang used to have a companion? A female tiger? Her face froze instantly. Behind her, deputy director, he nearly dropped his radio. How did you? Where is the female? Jiangyu's lips trembled. She was transferred, a month ago. Where? To the provincial capital zoo. Her voice was low. It was an assignment order from above. We had no authority to refuse. Her name is Xiaoxue. She lived in the same habitat as Dazhuang for 5 years. But the provincial capital built a new tiger facility and needed a female of breeding age. You gave them no transition period? You simply took her away? Jiangyu lowered her head. At the time, everything was rushed. The order was urgent. They gave us only 3 days to prepare. We thought animals wouldn't. She couldn't finish. I turned back toward Dazhuang. He was still pacing, back and forth, back and forth. The growl in his throat had never stopped. In the human understanding, animals do not have love. They do not miss anyone. They do not suffer heartbreak. So people took away the companion who had lived beside him for 5 years and gave him no chance to say goodbye. Then, when he began to go mad, they checked his physical indicators. Everything was normal. So they diagnosed abnormal behavior. They injected sedatives. They brought in trainers. They tried to use discipline to make him quiet. But no one asked him, "What happened to you? What are you grieving?" "He isn't mad," I said calmly, though even I could hear the anger buried in my voice. He lost his companion. He believes Xiaoxue is dead. In his understanding, if another tiger suddenly disappears from his territory and her scent gradually fades, there's only one possible explanation: death. He's mourning? Deputy director, he asked hoarsely. More than mourning. He's losing his mind because he has no answer. He doesn't know what happened. He keeps searching the memory of that day, trying to understand why Xiaoxue disappeared. A loss he cannot understand is more torturous than the loss itself. Jiangyu's eyes reddened. Then, what can we do? Xiaoxue is already at the provincial capital zoo. They can't transfer her back. Can you make a video call? What? Can someone at the provincial capital zoo put Xiaoxue on a screen? It doesn't need to be long. Dazhuang only needs to see her and confirm that she's alive. Jiangyu and deputy director, he exchanged a glance. I'll contact them. With trembling hands, deputy director, he pressed the button on his radio. While we waited for the provincial capital zoo to respond, I moved closer to the enclosure, close enough that only one layer of iron bars separated us. Dazhuang stopped pacing. He turned to look at me. Less than 3 meters and one barrier stood between me and a 200-kilogram predator. His heavy breath blasted against the bars, hot and carrying the smell of raw meat. I crouched down and tried to make my presence as small as possible. Then, using the tiger language I had needed 3 months to master, a specialized sound combining infrasound and guttural tones, I said, "She isn't dead." Dazhuang's entire body jolted, as if struck by lightning. He lunged one step forward, bringing his head almost against the bars. His huge amber eyes locked onto me. His pupils widened from narrow slits into full circles. "What? Your companion? She isn't dead." She was taken somewhere else. She's still alive. A strange sound came from Dashwang's throat. It wasn't a growl. It wasn't a roar. It was more like choking, as though something had been trapped inside his chest for far too long and had suddenly loosened. What you said, is it true? It's true. You'll see her in a moment. He stared blankly at me without moving. Then, for the first time, his rigid tail moved naturally. The motion was faint and small, but it was real. 20 minutes later, Deputy Director he ran back, panting, holding up a tablet. We reached them. The provincial capital zoo brought Xiaoxue into an indoor facility and started a video call. I took the tablet. On the screen, a smaller female tiger lay lazily on a rock, licking one front paw. Her coat was lighter, and a small pink patch marked the tip of her nose. I was told it was Xiaoxue's most recognizable feature. I held the tablet up beside the bars with the screen facing Dashwang. He lowered his head and looked. Then everyone saw it. It was as if every bone in Dashwang's body had vanished. His forelegs slowly bent. 100 kilograms. 200. 300. His massive body collapsed to the ground with a heavy thud. He pressed his head against the floor, his nose almost touching the tablet screen, and released a long, unbroken moan. The sound passed through reinforced glass, through iron bars, and straight through the chests of everyone standing there. No knowledge of animal language was needed to understand it. I'm here. You're there. That's enough. Xiaoxue seemed to sense something from the other side of the screen. She suddenly raised her head, turned her ears, and gave a low answering call toward the camera. Dashwang's tail began whipping wildly. He placed one paw against the bars, nudged the tablet with his head, and made a rapid string of sounds as if desperately telling her everything. I no longer needed to translate. Everyone understood. Jianyu crouched on the ground and covered her face with her sleeve. Her shoulders shook. Deputy Director he turned away, gripping the radio in his hand, unable to speak for a long time. Even Chen Guangjin, the bald middle-aged man who normally thought of nothing but money, kept blinking hard as his Adam's apple moved up and down. The call lasted 15 minutes. Dashwang never looked away. After 15 minutes, the provincial capital zoo said Xiaoxue needed to eat, and the call ended. Dashwang stared at the black screen for a long time. Then he stood. He walked to the food bowl in the corner, lowered his head, took one bite, chewed, swallowed, then took another. It was the first time he had eaten voluntarily in a month. The entire atmosphere changed. The suffocating pressure and tension that had filled the area completely collapsed in that moment. Deputy Director he finally spoke, his voice rough as sandpaper. Mr. Lin, on behalf of every employee here, there's no need. I returned the tablet. Play a video for him once a day from now on, preferably at a fixed time. Let him know he can see Xiaoxue regularly. We'll arrange it. Absolutely. One more thing. I thought for a moment. If possible, try to have Xiaoxue transferred back. Or send Dashwang there. They lived together for 5 years. They shouldn't be separated. Deputy Director he nodded repeatedly. I'll submit a request to the higher authorities. Even if we can't transfer either of them, we'll at least arrange opportunities for them to meet. I nodded and turned to leave. Wait. Jianyu caught up with me and wiped her swollen eyes. Lin Bei, could you come here regularly in the future? We have other animals in the zoo. Some of them show similar behavioral problems. Sure. We'll issue you an official appointment letter. You can be a special consultant. Whatever works. As for compensation, I don't need payment. Each time I come, just let me spend a little more time in the tiger area. I thought for a moment and added, I want to learn more tiger language. Dashwang is a good teacher. Jianyu stared at me, then smiled. It was the first smile I had seen all day. On the drive back, Chen Guangjin sat in the rear of the minibus, staring at me as though I were a gold mine. Lin Bei. He rubbed his hands together. Do you have any idea what will happen to our hospital's reputation once word of this gets out? Director. Yes? Don't let it get out. Why not? I don't want to be on the news. But if this spreads, the people who come looking for me won't be pet owners in zoos. I leaned back and closed my eyes. There'll be laboratories, circuses, and people who want to make money from animals. They won't want me to solve animals' problems. They'll want me to solve the problem of animals not cooperating. Chen Guangjin opened his mouth, then closed it. After a long silence, he said, All right. By the time we returned to the hospital, it was already 2 in the afternoon. I was starving. The moment I walked inside, Su Xiaoyu rushed at me. Well, Did you solve the tiger problem? Yes. I'm dying of hunger. Is there anything to eat? I saved you a boxed lunch. It's in the microwave. I was about to get it when I caught sight of someone at the other end of the hallway. Fang Mingyuan stood outside his examination room. His white coat was perfectly neat. His gold-rimmed glasses were spotless. He was watching me. There was no hostility, no contempt, and none of the certainty he had shown before when he said I would eventually cause a disaster. Only a complicated expression I couldn't understand. He pushed up his glasses and walked over. He stopped in front of me. I waited for him to speak. The zoo incident. Su Xiaoyu told me the basics. Okay. Several seconds of silence passed. That ability of yours, whatever its underlying principle may be. His voice was steady, though I could hear some emotion held tightly beneath it. It can genuinely help with certain cases I cannot help. I looked at him. He took a deep breath. I'm not apologizing. My previous objections were not wrong. You have no license, no standardized procedure, and your method cannot be replicated, verified, or scaled. From an academic and medical regulation standpoint, I cannot endorse what you do. I know, but, he paused, if you encounter a case that requires surgery, medication, or proper medical resources, he looked into my eyes. Come to me. Then he turned and left. The hem of his white coat stirred a small breeze. Beside me, Su Xiaoyu's mouth formed a perfect O. Was that a truce? I said, in his own way. Oh my God. Fang Mingyuan actually made peace with someone. I've worked here 3 years and never seen it. People change. I accepted the lunchbox she handed me. Animals do too. Give them a chance to be understood, and they'll change. Su Xiaoyu tilted her head at me. Lin Bei, you're starting to sound like a philosopher. I'm hungry. People say profound things when they're hungry. She burst out laughing. I carried the lunch back to my room, sat down, and took a bite of rice. My phone rang again. Another unknown number. I sighed and answered. Is this Mr. Lin Bei? Yes. This is a reporter from the Metropolitan Evening News. I hung up. 3 seconds later, it rang again. A different number. Hello, Mr. Lin. I'm a producer from City Television. I hung up. Over the next 5 minutes, it rang 6 times. Every call was from the media. When it rang a 7th time, I looked at the caller ID. My mother. I answered. Son, Mom, did you cause some huge commotion at the zoo? Your Auntie Zhao next door said she saw a video on Douyin. A young man was talking to a tiger, and the tiger actually understood him. Was that you, Douyin? Yes. It already has 500,000 views. My hand froze. Damn it. Who filmed it? I opened Douyin and typed zoo tiger talking into the search bar. The first result. Views. 870.000. Likes. 120.000. The footage was shaky. Obviously filmed in secret. But it clearly showed me crouching beside the bars and making a string of strange sounds at Dazhuang. Then it showed the entire sequence of Dazhuang collapsing to the ground and moaning. The title read. Shocking. Animal hospital employee talks to tiger. Entire crowd breaks down crying. The comments section had exploded. Is this real? Did this guy walk out of a fantasy novel? PhD in animal language from Lanxiang Technical School? Holy crap. The tiger's reaction doesn't look fake. Can clickbait accounts stop making up garbage for views? Which zoo is this? I'm going on a pilgrimage. I placed the phone face down on the table. Deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Then I looked down at my boxed lunch. The rice had gone cold. I had a powerful feeling. Starting tomorrow, I was going to lose the peace and quiet of my special behavioral treatment room. At 7 the next morning, I rode a shared bicycle to the hospital. Then I stopped. Outside the entrance were roughly 30 people. Number 40. Some held up phones. Some carried video cameras. Some had fluffy boom microphones. Several self-media bloggers wore brightly colored vests and gestured excitedly toward their cameras. When I listened carefully, I heard one saying, "This is the place. Renat Animal Hospital. The man who can speak to animals works right here." Still sitting on the shared bicycle, I quietly turned around. Then I slipped in through the back door. The moment I entered, Su Xiaoyu intercepted me at the stairwell. Her expression was remarkable. Excited, nervous, and carrying a hint of the sky is falling. But this is so thrilling. You saw the entrance? I saw it. The director has already taken 17 calls. 8 from the media. 3 from influencer management agencies. 2 from television variety show production teams, and 4 from companies asking you to endorse products. Endorse what? Dog food, cat food, an animal hospital franchise chain, and 1 course that teaches parrots to talk. I had no words. Did they find out who filmed the video? Su Xiaoyu shook her head. There were a lot of people at the zoo yesterday. Anyone could have recorded it. They checked the surveillance footage, and the angle looks like it came from the visitor walkway. Maybe there was a tourist they failed to clear out. I rubbed my temples and went upstairs. Qian Guangjin's office door stood wide open, and the room was thick with smoke. He was chain smoking. 7 or 8 cigarette butts already filled the ashtray. The moment he saw me, he sprang to his feet. Lin Bei, you're here. Great. Don't panic yet, Director. I'm not meeting the people outside. Let me finish first. He came around the desk, planted both hands on my shoulders, and pushed me down onto the sofa. Do you know how many views that video reached last night? No, I don't want to know. 30 million. 30 million views. Number 8 on the trending list. The hashtag man who can talk to animals has 100 million reads. I said nothing. There's a television show called Strange People. Strange Stories. Have you heard of it? It ranks among the top 3 nationwide. They called at 6 this morning and want you as a guest. Your appearance fee. He held up one hand and spread all 5 fingers. 500,000 yuan per episode. I looked at the 5 fingers, trembling slightly with excitement. I'm not going. Qian Guangjin's smile froze. What did you say? I'm not going. No variety shows. No interviews. No endorsements. You're insane. 500,000. 500,000 per episode. Director. I told you I don't want to be on the news. But you already are. The video is everywhere. You can't keep a low profile now even if you want to. He had a point. I was silent for a moment. Then keep the people outside away from me. I'm working normally today. Working normally. Qian Guangjin looked as though he had swallowed a fly. How am I supposed to hold back more than 30 reporters? You're the director. Didn't you say I'm the hospital's treasure? Protecting the treasure is your responsibility too, isn't it? Qian Guangjin choked on his response. Finally, he stomped his foot. Fine. I'll handle them. But you'd better think about how you're going to end this. You can't hide a fire forever. He rushed downstairs in a storm. I leaned back on the sofa and released a long breath. My phone began vibrating again. 23 missed calls. 16 from unknown numbers. 1 from my mother. 3 from Mr. Zhou. 2 from Mr. Chen. And 1 from Jiang Yu. I called Jiang Yu first. Lin Bei, she said the instant she answered, sounding frantic. I'm sorry. We found out who recorded the video. It was one of our interns. I made him delete it. But it had already spread. It's fine. I'm really sorry. I never expected it to become this big. It's over. I want to ask you something. Go ahead. How is Dazhuang today? Did he eat? The other end went quiet for a second. He did. He ate 2.5 kilograms of beef this morning. That's the most he's eaten in a month. How is his mental state? Much better. He isn't pacing. This morning, he lay by the window in the sun and stayed very calm. We followed your instructions and played a 10-minute video for him at 9. She paused, her voice trembling slightly. After he watched it, he rolled onto his back. All the keepers cried. I smiled. That's good. Keep doing it. After hanging up, I called my mother. Mom. Lin Bei, was that really you in the video? Yes. Oh my God. Why didn't you tell me? Your Auntie Zhao asked what happened, and I had no idea what to say. That ability of yours, is it real? I was silent for a moment. You think I spent 10 years in the mountains doing nothing but chewing tree bark? My mother fell silent too. After a while, she asked, your master taught you? Yes. Good heavens. She took a deep breath. I thought you went up there and learned absolutely nothing. Fine. Just be careful. Don't accept strange jobs. Even if someone offers you money. Don't. I know. Mom. One more thing. What? Your Auntie Zhao's son was promoted to deputy section chief this year. You need to make something of yourself too. She hung up. Always pushing. Always comparing. The defining competitive advantage of a Chinese mother. The morning appointments couldn't proceed normally. Reporters surrounded the entrance. So scheduled clients couldn't get inside. I had no choice but to stay in my room and scroll through my phone. The hashtag animal dialogue specialist had been trending for 2 hours. The comments were split into 2 clearly divided camps. The believers. The tiger's reaction could not possibly be fake. Go watch the full clip on Bilibili and study the part where the tiger lies down. This is unbelievable. If it's real, it rewrites biology. So, animals really do have feelings? The skeptics. It's the 21st century and people are still falling for superstition? I'll bet 100 yuan it's marketing. In 6 months he'll be selling dog food on livestream. He's just an animal trainer. Pavlovian conditioning. You people will believe anything. And the people sitting on the fence. No conclusions yet. Wait for more information. If it's fake, how did he accurately identify a screw in the husky's stomach? What animal trainer can do that? Someone please send this guy for a psychiatric evaluation. If his brain is normal, then he's an actual immortal. I turned off my phone. Whatever. Whether people believe me had no effect on my work. Near noon, Qian Guangjin and the property management staff finally persuaded most of the reporters to leave. Security guards watched the few who remained. Then someone knocked on my door. Come in. The door opened. A tall woman stood outside. Short hair, sunglasses, camel-colored coat, and a leash in her hand attached to. I froze. An Asian leopard cat. Not a domestic Bengal cat. A genuine wild Asian leopard cat. It was only the size of an ordinary house cat, but its entire body was covered in wild spots, and its round golden eyes scanned the unfamiliar environment with alert suspicion. The woman removed her sunglasses. Her face was so perfectly beautiful that she barely looked real. Behind me, Su Xiaoyu sucked in a sharp breath. I heard her whisper a name. Chen Xiqing? I didn't recognize the name, judging by Su Xiaoyu's reaction. She was probably famous. The woman lifted the corner of her mouth and raised her chin slightly. You're the man who can talk to animals. Her voice was cool, with the casual superiority of someone accustomed to looking down from above. Sit. I pointed at the chair across from me. She didn't sit. Instead, she looked around my examination room. My woven sack hung from a coat hook in the corner. An aluminum lunchbox and thermos sat on the desk. There wasn't even a license displayed on the wall. One eyebrow moved almost imperceptibly. The micro-expression said, "Am I in the wrong place?" But she still walked inside and placed the leopard cat on the exam table. Su Xiaoyu leaned toward my ear, lowering her voice to a mosquito's buzz. That's Shen Xiqing, one of the biggest actresses in the country. She just won a Golden Eagle Award last month. Oh, I said. I didn't know her. There were no televisions in the mountains. Her name is Yeshua, Shen Xiqing said, holding the leopard cat and slowly stroking along her spine. I took her in from a friend 3 months ago. I have all the legal permits required to keep her. What's the problem? She won't eat. Not completely. She's selective. Shen Xiqing frowned. I hired a nutritionist to design the best raw meat and bone diet. We've tried imported freeze-dried food and fresh meat. She takes 2 token licks and walks away. She has lost almost half a kilogram in 3 months. Half a kilogram was significant for a leopard cat. I looked at Yeshua on the table. She lay there with her golden eyes fixed warily on me. The tip of her tail twitched gently. Her ears pointed forward. There was no fear. No intention to attack. Only indifference. A deep, exhausted indifference. I moved slightly closer and spoke softly in the language of small wild cats. A leopard cat's language is closer to that of wild felines than domestic cats, using many whispers, nasal sounds, and subtle trills. Hey! Yeshua's ears turned. She glanced at me. You can speak too? Her voice was quiet and flat, like a stream frozen in winter. Another human who can speak. Wait. Another? Someone talked to you before? The man from my old home. She slowly rested her head on her front paws. He could too. My heart thudded. Your old home? Your previous owner? Not owner. She closed her eyes. Friend. He said we were friends. He could talk to you? The same way I am? The same. He could do it from childhood. My mind buzzed. There was someone else in the world who spoke animal language? Then again, my master had told me this ability didn't belong only to his lineage. It was simply extremely rare. Perhaps one person every few decades. Why did he send you away? Yeshua was silent for a long time. Her golden eyes opened again and stared at the ceiling. He died. 2 seconds of silence passed. 3 months ago. He died. I said nothing. He asked his friend to send me to this woman. He said she was a good person and would take care of me. Yeshua's voice carried no emotion, as if she were describing something unrelated to herself. But she can't speak. She doesn't understand what I want. The food she gives me, the taste is all wrong. What taste would be right? The way he prepared it. He knew what I liked. 3 parts venison, 7 parts rabbit, cut into pieces the size of a fingernail and soaked overnight in stream water. At last, a faint emotion entered her voice. Very faint, like a crack forming across ice. It isn't that I won't eat. I just don't want to eat food given to me by anyone else. I understood. This wasn't anorexia. It was refusal. Refusal of a new life. Refusal to admit that the old life had ended. I stood and turned toward Shinsiching. She had been quietly watching from the side. Her sunglasses were clenched in one hand, and her expression had changed from scrutiny to complete attention. The leopard cat's previous owner, the friend who left her to you. Did he pass away? Shinsiching's face changed. How did you know? She told me. She stared at me for 5 seconds. She didn't say it was impossible. She didn't look skeptical. She simply nodded slowly. Yes. His name was Guyen. We were university classmates. 3 months ago, there was a car accident. It happened very suddenly. Her voice remained steady, but the knuckles of the hand holding her sunglasses had turned white. He called me before he died and asked me to take care of Yeshua. He said she was special and made me promise to treat her well. I agreed. But after she came to my home, she barely ate. I took her to several hospitals. She isn't sick, I said. She's waiting for someone who will never return. Shinsiching lowered her head and looked at the leopard cat lying with her eyes closed on the table. She remained silent for a long time. Then, what should I do? Did your friend Guyen leave behind anything that carried a scent? Clothes. A blanket. Something personal? Yes. One of his old hoodies. I never washed it. Put it beside Yeshua's bed. And then, I thought for a moment. 3 parts venison. 7 parts rabbit. Cut into fingernail-sized pieces and soaked overnight in bottled spring water before feeding her. Shinsiching froze. She told you that? It was her previous owner's recipe. That's the only flavor she recognizes. Shinsiching's eyes reddened. But she didn't cry. She bit her lip and nodded. All right, I'll try it. She gathered Yeshua back into her arms. The leopard cat curled against her without struggling. When Shinsiching reached the door, she stopped without turning around. Lin Bei. Yes? Did Guyen ever mention anything to you while he was alive? About animal language? No. I didn't know him. Today was the first time I heard his name. Oh. She paused. He once told me that an extremely small number of people in this world are born with the ability to communicate with animals. He said, if he was ever gone and Yeshua had a problem, I should find someone like that. The animals would tell that person everything. I said nothing. She put her sunglasses back on. Thank you. Then she left. The room became quiet again. At some point, Su Xiaoyu had sat down on a stool in the corner. She held her face in both hands while tears dropped steadily between her fingers. Why are you crying? It's so moving. She sniffed. That leopard cat was waiting for someone who had died. She wasn't waiting. I returned to my chair. She was refusing to accept it. It's different from Dazhuang. Dazhuang suffered because he didn't know what had happened. Yeshua knows exactly what happened. She simply refuses to move forward. Will she eventually accept it? Yes, I said. If Shinsiching is willing to give her time. Slowly. She shouldn't try to replace Guyen. She needs to help Yeshua understand that someone new can also be trusted. Su Xiaoyu wiped her face. Lin Bei, was your master like this too? Did he teach you all of this? My master? I laughed. He was much wilder than I am. He could talk to whales. Whales? Yes. Blue whales. He went to sea when he was young. Later, he said there was already enough trouble on land to keep him busy. So he never went again. Where is he now? Still in the mountains. I leaned back in my chair. He's 78 and tough as ever. 2 days ago, he texted me to say a new litter of foxes had moved onto the mountain and kept chattering so loudly he couldn't sleep. Su Xiaoyu laughed. Your master uses a smartphone? A basic senior phone. He can only send texts and make calls. Once he accidentally activated the voice assistant and spent half an hour cursing at it because he thought a little ghost had been trapped inside the phone. Su Xiaoyu laughed so hard she doubled over. When she finally stopped, her expression suddenly became serious. Lin Bei, I need to tell you something important. Go ahead. Dr. Fan came to me a moment ago. What about? He has surgery at 3 this afternoon. A stray cat was hit by a car. Pelvic fracture and internal bleeding. It's urgent, but the cat is under extreme stress. 3 sedative injections didn't work, and no one can get near it. He asked me whether you're available this afternoon. I looked at her. Her expression carried an indescribably complicated meaning. Fang Mingyuan asked me for help. Yes. I stood. What time? 3. Operating room. I'll be there at 2:50. Su Xiaoyu smiled, her eyes curving. You two are going to end up partners sooner or later. Don't start. Hey. At 2:50 that afternoon, I stood outside the operating room. Fang Mingyuan was inside preparing for surgery. Washing his hands, putting on gloves, checking the instruments. When he heard the door, he turned. We looked at each other for 1 second. The corner of his mouth moved slightly. It wasn't quite a smile, but the thorn that had always stood between us was gone. Come in. He tilted his head. The cat is in the observation room next door, curled in the back of the cage. You only need to calm it down. Leave the rest to me. All right. I entered the next room. A gray and white stray cat was huddled in the far corner of an iron cage. Blood covered its body, and one hind leg was visibly deformed. But both green eyes were wide open. Every hair on its body stood on end, and a continuous hiss tore from its mouth. Fear. Absolute fear. Not fear of pain. Fear of humans. In the world of a stray cat, humans meant kicking, beating, chasing, poison bait, and animal traps. After being hit by a car, it had been captured by a group of people in white clothing, locked in a cage, and stabbed with needles 3 times. In its eyes, these people were no different from the humans who had kicked it before. I crouched in front of the cage. I didn't look directly into its eyes. In feline language, a direct stare is a threat. I turned my face slightly away and lowered my eyelids halfway. Then, using the most basic and primitive form of cat language a stray could understand, I spoke slowly. The language was simple. No complex sentences. Only a few core sounds. Safe. No pain. Help you. Again and again. Softly, like a mother cat murmuring to a kitten. 30 seconds later, the hissing stopped. 1 minute later, its raised fur slowly settled. 2 minutes later, the gray and white cat dragged its broken hind leg and inched out from the back corner of the cage. It moved to the door. Then it extended a paw stained with dried blood and lightly touched the finger I had placed beside the bars. Cold, trembling, but it touched me. I gently opened the cage, supporting its body with both hands. I lifted it out with extreme care. It didn't struggle. It only buried its head in my palm and released the faintest whimper. It hurts. It hurts so much. I know. I answered softly. It won't hurt much longer. There's a human outside who can fix you. You'll sleep for a while. And when you wake up, you'll be better. Really? Really? It closed its eyes. I placed it securely on the operating table. It lay still, breathing evenly. It didn't even need another sedative. It had relaxed on its own. Fang Mingyuan stood on the other side of the table with the prepared anesthetic injection in his hand. He looked at the cat that had been violently panicked minutes earlier, now lying quietly as though asleep. He said nothing, but the glance he gave me held recognition, respect, and the faintest trace of envy. Begin, I said, taking 1 step back. Fang Mingyuan nodded and picked up the scalpel. 2 hours later, the operation was complete. The pelvis had been realigned, and the internal bleeding had been stopped. The cat breathed steadily under anesthesia, wrapped in bandages like a small gray ball. Fang Mingyuan removed his gloves and rolled his stiff neck. Can you continue communicating with it during the postoperative recovery period? His voice was neutral, as if discussing a standard medical procedure. A stray cat's stress response may return after the anesthesia wears off. If you can. No problem. Good. He walked toward the door. At the threshold, he placed one hand on the frame without turning around. The original probability that this cat would not survive the night was 60%. And now less than 5%. Then he left. I stayed in the operating room and sat beside the cat, watching its abdomen rise and fall. 5 minutes later, Su Xiaoyu entered carrying 2 cups of coffee. One for you. Thanks. She sat on a nearby stool and watched the cat for a while. Dr. Fang is really good at surgery. Yes. He's a good doctor. The two of you working together, you're pretty incredible. I took a sip of coffee and didn't answer. She continued. Lin Bei, have you ever thought about what you actually want to do in the future? What do you mean? I mean, you can reject the reporters, variety shows, and endorsements, but you can't hide this ability forever. It's too extraordinary. You're destined to face the world. I looked at the black liquid in my cup. My master spent his whole life in the mountains. But you aren't your master. Su Xiaoyu looked at me seriously. You came back to the city the moment your mother dragged you home. You could no longer stay a wild man forever. I smiled. One step at a time. My phone vibrated. I looked at the screen. A message from Mr. Chen. Lin Bei. I want to discuss something with you. Next week. A friend's racehorse has a problem. It's a 10 million yuan thoroughbred and absolutely refuses to run. Are you interested? A 10 million yuan horse. I placed the phone face down on the table. Deep breath. What's wrong? Su Xiaoyu asked. Nothing. Your face says otherwise. Someone wants me to have a conversation with a horse worth 10 million yuan. Su Xiaoyu sprayed out her coffee. T 10 million? Yes. Are you going? I looked at the stray cat breathing quietly on the operating table. It was worth nothing. No one had paid me to talk to it. Fang Mingyuan had spent 2 hours operating and charged nothing. Meanwhile, a 10 million yuan horse was waiting for me to diagnose it. That was how the world worked. A valuable life and a life without monetary value were both lives. To me, they were the same. I'm going. I lifted my coffee and took a drink. I want to see why the horse refuses to run. Su Xiaoyu's eyes lit up. Can I come? Don't you have work? I'll take leave. Do whatever you want. She cheered. The stray cat's ears moved on the operating table, as though the noise had disturbed it. I reached over and gently stroked its head. Sleep. When you wake up, I'll find you something to eat. Its ears twitched. A faint purr began. Soft. Secure. I leaned back in the chair and watched the evening sun slowly sink outside the window. The city skyline turned orange-red. Birds called in the distance. Sparrows. They were saying, that power line is dead today. Hurry over and rest on it. Another answered. You said that last time too. I nearly got electrocuted bald. That was because you were stupid enough to stand on top of the transformer. You're stupid. Your whole family is stupid. I laughed aloud. Su Xiaoyu looked at me in confusion. What's funny? 2 sparrows outside are arguing. About what? Which power line is safe? Su Xiaoyu was silent for 3 seconds. Then, wearing the expression of someone who had completely given up trying to understand me, she took another sip of coffee. Lin Bei. Yes? Your life is never boring, is it? I thought about it. Never. That was the truth. When you can understand the voices of every animal in the world, 10,000 stories happen around you every day. Some are funny. Some are heartbreaking. Some are absurd. And some make you believe the world isn't quite as terrible as it seems. My phone lit up again. My mother. A text message. Son, your Auntie Zhao says people online are calling you a fraud. Nobody beat you up, did they? Do you need Mom to drive the excavator into the city? I sent a short reply. Don't come. Then I thought for a moment and added, Mom, making me return to the city was actually a pretty good decision. Her reply came 3 seconds later. Of course it was. When has your mother ever made a wrong decision? Hurry up and find a girlfriend. Stop spending all your time with cats and dogs. I put the phone back in my pocket. The final trace of sunset disappeared outside the window. The city lights came on. In this concrete jungle lived millions upon millions of animals. They waited in cages, on sofas, behind iron doors in backyards, and beyond the glass walls of zoos for someone who could understand what they were saying. And I was here. As it happened, I could hear them.